Hi, I'm Donna Wolfe from Naztazia.com.
The Crochet Brioche stitch looks similar to the knitted version. In this video, I'll show how to make this basic Crochet Brioche stitch design, both in one color and the two colors. To begin, start with a slip knot and make any number of chains. There's no multiple in this stitch pattern. Make a yarn over and insert the hook into the second chain from the hook and then draw up a loop. With that same loop, continue to take off the remaining two loops on the crochet hook. Although it doesn't have a widely official name, it is basically a double slip stitch. And repeat the process. Yarn over and insert the hook into the next chain. Draw up a loop, and with that loop, continue taking off the remaining two loops on the hook. And repeat the process again. This double slip stitch is what is used throughout this entire pattern. And here's what the first row looks like once it has been completed. For now, I'll just show the one color brioche stitch to make it easier to understand. For the second and all subsequent rows, I generally start with a chain one. In both half double crochet and this double slip stitch, there are two sets of chain-like stitches, one that runs along the top edge and one that runs along the side edge. Going forward, all stitches will be made into the front loop of the side edge stitch. So it's basically the edge of the chain loop that is closest almost to the bottom edge of the work. It takes a bit of practice to see precisely where to put the stitches, but after a row or two it becomes pretty evident where the stitches need to be placed. Continue making the double slip stitch along the side edge's front loop. It could also be called the very bottom loop of the previous row's work. I'm going to zoom in the best I can here so that it becomes easier to see exactly where I'm placing my double slip stitches in the previous row's double slip stitches. It's important to note that these stitches are not placed at the top of the work where they are normally placed. Instead, they are placed along the side of the work in the bottom loop formed by the previous row's double slip stitches. The last stitch can be a bit challenging to do. I generally just put my hook into the bottom loop that sort of sticks out from the original chain stitch, and that usually looks pretty good and consistent with the rest of the stitch pattern. When turned over, the brioche design with the chain stitch looking stitches are popping out nicely in the work. And for all subsequent rows, just repeat the process of a chain one if needed at the start of each row. Turn the work, and then make the double slip stitches into the side of the previous row's double slip stitches. Then after a few rows, the pattern really starts to take shape and those chain-like stitches really start popping out nicely in a 3D effect on both sides of the work, just like in knitted brioche design. With the two-color brioche, I start the chain and row one the same way as before with the pink yarn. Then I introduce the yellow yarn after making the last stitch of row one. It's important to note that color changes need to occur on every single row. So yarn can't be carried up along the sides. However, it can be carried and crocheted over across the row, and that's generally what I choose to do to get my two colors. Crocheting over the yarn takes up maybe a few more yards of yarn for a project, but it's worth it in the end since there's no tail ends along the way other than the first and last one. So with this, I crochet my double slip stitches in the normal loop, and then I also have to go under the carried yarn so that it gets hidden in the work as I make the row. If needed, I have a changing colors in crochet tutorial that helps explain this process in detail. So two-color crochet brioche is basically stitch-wise the same as one-color brioche, except colors need to be changed on every row, and I find it's easier to carry the unused yarn and crochet over it while working to better hide the ends. On this new row, I'm crocheting new double slip stitches with the pink yarn and carrying the unused yellow yarn and crocheting over it as I work. After a few more rows, this is what Crochet Brioche looks like. And that's it. That's how I crochet the brioche design.